This entire neighborhood is being regenerated. Let me grab a few units here, expecting it to double or triple.
I came into Bomonti as an investor a little bit late. 10 years ago, you wouldn't walk through Bomonti. I made some very handsome gains in Bomonti.
In Turkish lira terms, you're talking about 100% upside.
Yes.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk. We're here in the Istanbul office of Property Turkey with Cameron Deggin.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Very well today. How are you?
Doing good? Yeah, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about urban regeneration today. Kentsel dönüşüm in Turkish.
Kentsel dönüşüm, urban regeneration. Cameron, my first question to you is, why do we have so many urban regeneration zones in Istanbul? Do you want to spend a minute on that?
Obviously, I mean, the answer is very, very simple. Istanbul grew very rapidly and very haphazardly over the past 50 years. From 1960s, from early 1960s to 2020, Istanbul's population has gone up from about 3 million people to almost shy of 20 million today.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that, considering that majority of this population growth was as a result of urban migration, you can imagine that what was built in that 50-year period was not all necessarily very nice and very well-structured homes.
They're going to think like it's Jakarta.
Yeah.
Well, it's not Jakarta.
Well, parts of it are.
Yeah, parts of it, sure. Istanbul has this massive problem, okay? It's a massive problem. But again, it is presenting opportunities for investors.
Of course. In year 1999, if you remember, there was a massive death toll in 1999.
Because of the
in
earthquake.
Istanbul. The earthquake, the epicenter of the earthquake, was actually very close to Istanbul city. And there was a massive death toll. After 1999, within 2 years, the government completely rehauled the construction sector variables, and they launched a set of new rules and regulations in order to very rapidly change what they deem as risky areas in Istanbul. Istanbul is not alone in this. Urban regeneration is not an initiative that is restricted to Istanbul only.
True.
All major cities in Turkey have this, but Istanbul is the epicenter of urban regeneration.
Okay, now I want to focus on why we are talking about urban regeneration zone. As a foreign investor, why would I invest in an urban regeneration zone?
Okay, because urban regeneration zones hold a significant upside potential, simply put.
Significant upside potential.
Significant upside potential.
Elaborate.
Okay. The idea of urban regeneration is not necessarily to turn a poor neighborhood into an elegant, wealthy neighborhood. That's not the idea. But if it's done in the right place, with the right structure, in the right time, and generally this is city center districts, which are surrounded by already wealthy areas, then if you spot those areas and if you come in at the right time, you can literally surf the wave upwards through the regeneration. Now, does that mean every regeneration area is a profitable, high ROI area? No, it doesn't mean that.
What makes an urban regeneration area good for investment?
Okay, all right, that's a very good question. The first thing I would look at is the neighborhoods, the vicinity. In other words, if you go to Başakşehir, it's not within the inner core of Istanbul.
It's not an urban regeneration area.
Do you know what? Interestingly, Başakşehir partially is a regeneration area. However, that particular area, if you look at the wider, the greater area, prices are not high. So just because you regenerate a part of it, you're not all of a sudden going to cause a spike in an area where the prices are modest. However, if you are regenerating an area close to Nişantaşı, in central Istanbul.
Bomonti is a prime example.
I was going to get to it. If you're regenerating an area close to Nişantaşı in central Istanbul, where prices today are very, very modest for the locality, provided certain factors are there, if you're getting into the area when the regeneration starts or underway, you can indeed look forward to some very handsome capital gains. Why? Well, take Bomonti, for example.
Literally where we are.
Literally where we are.
Yeah.
Our office is actually at the entrance of Bomonti, Halide di Padova. 10 years ago, you wouldn't walk through Bomonti. You simply wouldn't come to Bomonti. There was nothing in Bomonti for you to come and see unless you were a trader. Bomonti is significantly regenerated already. Well, the Europe's biggest Hilton hotel is there, opened 4 years ago. The Antil Towers, Central Park, a handful of other luxury, high-end projects that are all already operational and where life has already started. When I first moved into Bomonti in 2015, we had only one cafe to go to, which was But First Coffee.
Now,
today, on that very street alone, there are at least half a dozen very trendy, very atmospheric places where you can go with your friends, you can go with your partner,
that's the thing about those
and
coffee
enjoy.
houses. They're very trendy.
Very trendy. Now, but what happened to prices in Bomonti?
Double, tripled?
In the last 10 years, Bomonti prices have gone up by 2.5 times in the last 10 years. If you look at my last 3 investments in Bomonti, I bought a 2-bedroom apartment there in 2018, literally 2 years ago, for, you're not going to believe this, for 600,000 Turkish lira. Today, if I put it on the market for 1.1 million Turkish lira, I would sell it like that. If I put it on the market for 1.2, I would sell it in a month.
In Turkish lira terms, you're talking about 100% upside.
Take out the impact of Turkish lira currency depreciation. In 2 years, you're looking at 55% upside.
55% upside in hard currency terms, dollar terms.
Yeah. I was at the right place at the right time, I have to admit. Because 600,000 lira for a 2-bedroom in Bomonti, even 2 years ago, was a very, very, very good deal.
Let me ask you a question right on that. What is the secret of making good profits in urban regeneration areas or city center areas like Bomonti, where you have a lot of high rises and branded?
I was gonna explain that, but I sidetracked onto talking about Bomonti. There are 4 things I would look at. Number 1, collaborative regeneration. Collaborative regeneration, simply put, means that the stakeholders, in other words, the existing incumbent landowners or residents, are collaborating with the developers. They're up for it. Collaborative, as it says, number 1. Number 2, the structure of regeneration. That's very important. Are you simply giving each and every existing block, to different developers to develop, or are you carrying out a proper city planning, thinking about the roads, the green areas, the parks, the schools, the hospitals? In other words, are you doing a big picture, grand scale regeneration that is controlled by either municipality or the government, or a large private sector player that has the clout and the weight to carry it through in a grand scale? Or are you just regenerating, in fact, restoring block by block? In other words, the structure. That's the second one. The third one is the speed of regeneration, how quickly it can go through. And the fourth one is, very important, is there a significant price drop? In other words, Bomonti again, Nişantaşı, Şişli, parts of Beyoğlu, all these are areas that are around Bomonti, right?
Yeah.
If you looked at the prices in these areas, 10 years ago, they were very high still. Then, too. Because these are prime locations of central Istanbul. All of a sudden, you've got these high prices, And then in the midst of it, you come to an area called Bomonti where the price does this. Zhoop, drops down.
Yeah.
Well, that's the opportunity. That's what you should look at. In other words, you're looking at an area that is immediately next door to some rather elegant and pricey areas where the prices are very, very low, relatively speaking.
Which there is no other way then to go up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It will go up. Now, provided that there's a good structure regeneration, there's collaborative regeneration, and provided regeneration can go through rather rapidly, you will see some very steep upsides in as little as 3 to 5 years.
Let me ask you another question. As you kind of mentioned before,
Yeah.
in some parts of Istanbul, under the brand of urban regeneration,
Yeah.
what people are doing is just restoration.
That's not
knocking down an
regeneration.
old building and building it up. Yeah.
That's not regeneration.
But some people are buying that idea of, oh, this entire neighborhood is being regenerated. Let me grab a few units here, expecting it to double or triple. And we have a lot of places like that in Istanbul. Certainly not all of these urban regeneration areas are presenting good opportunity for investors. What are some of your areas, your favorite areas, when it comes to urban regeneration in Istanbul?
Okay, let's look at central Istanbul.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you're an overseas investor coming into the market, looking for steep ROI, steep, good, healthy returns, okay, you should stick to the city center in Istanbul, okay? Generally speaking, city center. You should look at urban regeneration areas that are centrally located because that's where you're going to see the price difference.
Yeah.
Now, Eyüp is a good area to invest. There are at least several regeneration projects going on in that part of Eyüp. It is a decent area to invest because, again, when you look at those factors I just mentioned, price-wise, there's a massive advantage because Eyüp, despite the fact that it's centrally located, it's very reasonably priced. However, the difficulty with Eyüp, which, in my opinion, will mean that it will take a little bit longer to regenerate than a place like Bomonti. In Eyüp, urban regeneration is happening rather slowly because of the non-collaborative, in general, nature of the initiatives. Now, look at Basın Express, which itself is not a municipality. It straddles on several municipalities. I think the largest of it being Bağcılar municipality. And Bağcılar municipality itself is a massive urban regeneration municipality. One where generally urban regeneration is happening very, very, very slowly.
Yeah.
Because of thousands of
number
stakeholders.
Yeah.
However, if you look at the Basın Express media highway part of Bağcılar, urban regeneration happened extremely quickly there. Why was the media highway Basın Express regeneration initiative so successful? Very simple. Because there was collaborative regeneration and it was done in a rather structured way. In fact, there was very good business to be had there. We actually did a lot of good business there. And the early investors, people who came in from 2015 to 2017 period, they benefited a great deal.
You gave the examples of Bomonti and Basın Express, and you said that, you pointed out that the stakeholders there were being collaborative and etc.
Yes.
But the common point between these stakeholders is that they're not, traditional communities and residential blocks. They're rather commercial, big companies. You're talking about companies.
It's easier to
and,
regenerate
and they're being forced out by laws and regulations. So how fast do you expect these areas to be regenerated? In other words, is that a midterm or a long-term investment?
Okay, urban regeneration areas should never be seen as short-term investments. That's a fact. In my opinion, real estate should not be seen as short-term investments anyway. But certain urban regeneration areas can be seen as midterm. Midterm being 3 years. Okay, 3-4 years in my opinion. Long-term for me is anything over 5 years, depending on the area. Like, for example, take Talimani.
A street parallel to
Yeah.
Istiklal Street.
True. Street parallel to Istiklal Street. You would have noticed that for the past 10 years at least, the Beyoğlu side of Talimani, that road, is all cordoned off, is
Yeah.
all surrounded.
Is
And-
under sort of a restoration or
and there is some
regeneration.
sort of a restoration, regeneration, etc., going on in that massive part of Beyoğlu. But for the last 10, 12 years, if you notice, it's been stagnant there.
Why is that?
Well, very simple. That's an urban regeneration project in the heart of Istanbul, in Beyoğlu, for God's sake.
The heart of Istanbul, yeah.
But the stakeholders are not collaborative. It's very difficult to reach a consensus there as to what should be done and how these existing landlords should be remunerated.
True.
There are some other areas that are being regenerated now. Kağıthane, again, is as central as Bomonti. And the regeneration of Kağıthane district is of great importance for Istanbul overall because of where it is. Hence,
True.
because of that, they're not leaving it to chance. They're pushing through with it, with full government backing, which means Kağıthane, once it is regenerated, and I think over the next 5 years, we'll see a completely changed face of Kağıthane. It will deliver amazing returns to investors. Kağıthane for me is my next Bomonti.
Those areas that you're referring, Eyüp and Kağıthane, what's the guarantee?
Look, there are no guarantees in anything. I mean, look, if you are looking for guarantees and if you're looking for low risk, then go and invest in British government bonds. It will pay you probably less than 1% per year, but it's very low risk.
Let's sum it up. In a few sentences, Mr. Cameron Deggin, urban regeneration, when it's good, when it's not good.
In a nutshell, urban regeneration, from a foreign investor's viewpoint, can reward very good returns, very good profits, if it's central, in an area where prices are much lower than immediately surrounding areas, and if it has a chance to be completed rather rapidly, quickly, which very much depends on how collaborative the stakeholders are. These are the factors to look out for in a nutshell.
All right, Cameron Deggin, great conversation. Thank you very much. In this episode, we've covered urban regeneration zones, why to invest in those areas, and what to look out for when investing into urban regeneration zones. And in the next episode, comment down below what you want us to cover, or more easily, with this WhatsApp number, write us. I read those messages personally. And until the next episode, see ya.
See ya.